Champions Cup Sunday game, it was Leicester up against Connacht. Leicester at home for this one. Pretty good game, I thought. Got up and watched this with my breakfast. Another kind of delayed game for me. Very, very fun watch. Didn't know the result, which is always pleasing. I mean, Leicester had the result secured right before the death. Connacht only able to kind of scrounge a losing bonus point at it, but the lead changed multiple times. There were 6 tries, there was a yellow card, there was, as I said, drop goal, penalties. This game had a wee bit of everything. But yeah, we'll go over some of the key events, some of the stats, and you guys can let me know your thoughts on how this one went. It did start a little bit messy. Neither side really hit the ground totally fluidly. You know, there was no real sharpness at the start, a couple of missed lineouts and whatnot. Looking a little bit less than slick as both sides kind of warmed up into it, but Connacht managed to open the scoring with a penalty to go in front, which is always nice when you're away from home to kind of get a nice settler. And they were getting some benefits from the whistle, were Connacht, because Leicester were on the wrong side of it. They must have been pinged 3 or 4 times in a row before they got any joy from the ref. Speaking of the ref, my alongside me as a 3-year-old, as I said, watching part of the game, and we were talking about the jersey colours and which one she liked. When she told me she liked the yellow one, which was the ref, I said to her, that's the ref, and she went, pfft. So kind of in her own 3-year-old way, a summary of most rugby fans' opinions of refs at times. I do say that mostly in jest, because if you don't have refs, you don't have games. So, but yeah, that's my daughter's kind of input onto that game. So they did manage to turn the referee around with the scrum though, Leicester. And the scrum was a bit of an area of pay for them. Another area where kind of similar to last week against Stade Francais, they struggled a wee bit. They got pinged a fair few times at scrum time, even with Bielam in the lineup this time. So yeah, that initial scrum penalty, which was Leicester's first penalty of the game, led to them going for touch and led to Nick Dolly's try. So they actually managed to go in front, essentially back down to that scrum penalty, because it was the scrum penalty, touch, maul, stopped, but then phases and Dolly goes over in the corner. So 5 points to 3. They missed the conversion. Freddie Burns didn't really have his kicking boots on because he missed that conversion. He missed a pretty kickable penalty later on. And then when there's a bit of a kicking duel later, they were actually getting on top. Leicester were winning the kicking duel. And then that final kick where they need to put the knife in, he kicked it dead. So it was kind of a bit of a default win to Connacht. So yeah, I don't mean, it's hard for him because George Ford's been playing really well, and I don't think he's had much game time, old Freddie Burns. But yeah, a couple of times just didn't quite. He got subbed pretty early on the second half, but yeah. Anyway, that's just kind of was what it was. It didn't really matter when he missed the penalty anyway, because Hegarty actually went over for a try about a minute later, which maybe wouldn't have happened if he had kicked that penalty. That one was, yeah, I think it was Matt Scott who made the line break. And then, yeah, just the pressure was really on. Leicester was starting to really hum by that point. They were starting to look quite slick. They'd kind of gone up a gear. But Connacht, and that was the good thing about this game, to stop that momentum in its tracks, were able to kind of hit back. Because you got 17, 22, try, but then 26. The momentum is pushed back a wee bit. That was Bundyaki with a nice offload. Leicester had kind of shot out of the line defensively, and Porch was able to find a fair bit of space thanks to the Aki offload. So yeah, good momentum stopper. 12 points to 10 is properly game on. And then Connacht, right before halftime, were able to go in front actually. Cardi, when there's just some bad passes from Leicester, some loose ball, he snaps it up and just goes half the field and puts Connacht in front, 17 points to 12. Like, hell of a try. Like, that's properly game on. You score 2, we'll score 2. But that's the end of the try scoring for Connacht, which is obviously not ideal. Second half, Connacht took the penalty to take it beyond 7 points. So 20 points to 12 away from home. It's a pretty solid lead. But there's a turning point in this game, and it kind of comes from the scrum. There's a scrum about 5 metres out from Leicester's line, from Connacht's line. And there's 3 scrum penalties in a row, and eventually Bielam gets yellow carded. I think that's probably the difference in this game, because Leicester, with the extra man, are absolutely deadly. They score 2 tries, one of them pretty much immediately after the yellow card. That one's through Stewart. Interestingly, it was the backs that scored it after the forwards had kind of set them up. He went over, and then they managed to get another one through Salmaki. He ran a great kind of cutting line back inside towards the tail end of the yellow card. So it's 14 points during the yellow card. They go from being 12 points to 20 down to 20, was it 26, 20 up. And then they got another penalty to make it 29-20. So pretty much game in the bag. I didn't quite write game over at that point. I didn't write game over until, Cardi kicked one kick dead. Like, it wasn't Freddie Burns who, was the only guy who made mistakes in this one. Cardi kicked one dead. It was a kick that just went too big. And later on, Connacht had a chance, 5 minutes to go, attacking line out kind of in Leicester's 22, and they missed the line out, and that's when it was, you probably know this one's done and dusted. They did, though, put a bunch of pressure on the last 5 minutes. They snapped the drop goal. So Cardi, good match awareness, in the pocket, slots a drop goal, kind of cool as you like. But like different from if you saw the Munster and Cast game yesterday, where they just kind of kicked it out and gave up at the death. Like Connacht were keen to get that losing bonus point, for the greater scheme of things. They were kind of pushing for as much as they could. It was a very different feeling. So Cardi, despite the fact they lost, seemed pretty chuffed to get the old losing bonus point. So yeah, not a bad result. Obviously, they'll be a bit disappointed that they went from an 8-point lead to a losing bonus point. But, you got to give credit to Leicester. Their scrum was able to get on top. And when they had the extra man, they punished with 2 tries. So not every team does that. Some teams kind of struggle to make that pressure pay. But not Leicester. They are in, despite the changes to their lineup, some pretty good form. So, stats... Possession pretty even, but Connacht actually had more territory. Clean breaks is Connacht 6-2, offloads 5-2 in Connacht's favour. But you look at turnovers 1, Leicester 9-2. So Connacht really kind of unable to exert too much pressure on the Leicester guys at the breakdown. 4 tries kind of speaks for itself. Kicks from hand 47-33. It's pretty high, but that's just kind of the way things go. Like we saw last week, it was in the 50s when we let Leicester play, but. I don't know, I wouldn't read too much into that as saying it was an entertaining game, because it really, really was. It was a very good way to start my day. As I said, 6 tries, some good moments, and my voice is going to leave me. So I'll call it quits. You guys take care. Let me know what your thoughts are on the game. Obviously, Leicester are 2 from 2 now, so a great way to start their European campaign. Kind of continuing on their premiership form. Connacht are 1-1, so 1 loss, but they'll certainly be... not satisfied, but they'll be... They took something away from the game, which is maybe, it's a decent way to end it, if not ideal. But anyway, you guys have any thoughts on the game? And I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.